Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. It is so wonderful to see everyone this evening. Thank you so much for being here, for being present for an important Shabbat evening service for so many various reasons. Tonight, of course, we get to celebrate a young man who is becoming bar mitzvah as he comes jogging down the aisle. Hello, Sam. So he is definitely ready. Usually they're jogging up the aisle, but Sam's like coming back. It's all good. So, whew, good job, kiddo. And of course, tonight too, we are here to talk about and openly discuss and be present with what addiction and recovery is all about and the meaning of it and the importance of our talking about it. Because all too often in our lives and especially within the Jewish community, talking about addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs or any other kinds of addiction, because there are so many different types of addiction, we didn't want to talk about it. We didn't want to discuss it because it was like, no, we don't talk about those things. Almost like how it used to be with, cancer. She has cancer. We used to not talk about that. But the fact is that we have to. We have to allow our voices to be present, to be strong, to speak out loud and not be afraid to speak about, yes, addiction and recovery. It's not a horrible thing to talk about. Yes, addiction is a horrible disease, and it is a disease. So, we are here tonight to discuss that. We're here tonight to also find that Jewish and spiritual connection, because that's where we find our strength as well. So with that, we're going to allow ourselves to get into this time of Shabbat. I want to invite you, if you have a cell phone, you have a pager, you have anything that makes noise, and if you are not on call, I invite you to turn your phones off, disconnect in order that we can connect with one another. Those of you who are streaming into our services tonight, Shabbat Shalom. We are grateful that you are joining us. Remember, you too are a part of our family and a part of this sacred space as well. So we welcome you. So allow us to open up our hearts, our souls, and especially our mouths and our voices as we warm up and prepare for Shabbat.
Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai dai dai
Shabbat is about welcoming one another, and I am so grateful. We have so many wonderful guests who are here tonight joining us for this special Serenity Shabbat, and also family and friends of our bar mitzvah. So take a moment, turn to somebody next to you, behind you, catty corner to you. Say Shabbat Shalom, say hello. So definitely tonight during our Oneg after services, I hope you will join together in the living room later on, continue conversations and getting to know one another. But now, so Sam, it is the first thing you get to do toward becoming bar mitzvah. It is the moment to bring light to our Shabbat, because you already bring light to our hearts. Aww. And invite you to come forward to light our Shabbat candles along with your parents, with Shani and Mike and your brother Max. We're going to all turn right now to page 3 in our prayer books, actually page 2. There we go. For lighting our Shabbat candles. All right. Here you go, Mr. Sam.
Oh, I'm not very good with that.
That's okay. I'm going to become, there you go. You guide my hand. There you are. Isn't that amazing how that works?
Yeah.
Teamwork. It's all about the teamwork. Never do it alone. There you go. Ready? Blow that out. There you go. We'll join together with Sam and with the cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
As we turn to Kiddush on page 5, and in a moment, Sam, I'm going to have you lead us in our Kiddush, always in our Kiddush cups here at Temple Beth Sholom. So you all are always aware, whenever you come to do Kiddush with us, and we had the little cups and so forth, we have always had grape juice in there, because the blessing is over the fruit of the vine. And so, we recognize that we never want anybody to be uncomfortable to have to ask, what's in this cup or what's in that? All the cups are always fruit of the vine of grape juice. So, Sam, if you will go ahead, please, and lead us in this wonderful bracha of the fruit of the vine on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'chava uvratzon kinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom tehilat lemikra kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim.
Kivanu v'acharta v'yatanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. There you go. Mazel tov. There, take a moment. There you go. Big brother behind you. I know. There you are. That's okay. He's thirsty. It's all right. This is good. So we are very, very proud of you. And we look forward to our services tomorrow. That his brother's egging him on. Just saying. So I am glad he's not wearing white and going that direction. So, Mazel tov, guys. Tonight, as we said, this special Shabbat, this Serenity Shabbat, there are so many stories that circle around us. And so, tonight I'm going to share a few of them with you, words from those who have shared their own journey. I'm retired from the aerospace industry. I'm a military veteran. I was married for 40 years until my wife passed away in 2009. I'm the father of 2 children and was the grandfather of 1 grandchild who drowned in 2015. I'm very involved in the Orange County Synagogue where I belong. My first drinking experience was in high school and resulted in a blackout. I struggled with alcoholic drinking for years after. I drank and drove, received a ticket for reckless driving, and was arrested after being in an accident that occurred because I was inebriated. I finally went to an AA meeting and for 6 years attended meetings off and on while my drinking got worse. My wife finally left with our children. A few months later, I went back to AA and took it seriously. I went to meetings every day, found a sponsor, and worked the program. My wife came back when I was 9 months sober and our marriage blossomed. I'm still very active in AA and have 37 years of sobriety. Helping other alcoholics is a big part of how I practice Tikkun Olam. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is for us to be able to sit together. How important it is for us to be together, because being together we find strength with one another. Page 10.
Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. So we turn to page 24 and we welcome the Shabbat angels to come in and join us. Shalom Aleichem. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la 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 la. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Bimelech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Bimelech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Bimelech, Malachei HaMlachim, shalom, return, O you angels.
Shuvchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu.
Shalom aleichem,
Shalom aleichem, malachei hasharet, malachei elyon, melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh, hakadosh baruch. Page 26, Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal ve'yitgadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Yalmadi v'rach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechol yom echol uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael bagala bagala uv'izman kariv v'meru.
Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, lehalam u'lo me'hamayam, yitbarach.
Yitbarach ve'yishtabach v'yipahar v'yitromam v'yidaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalach shemei dekudsha
Berichu.
le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata
Tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran mi'alma. Amen. We turn on our daf tefillah for our Baruch Hu. Am I awake? Am I prepared? I ask you to please rise.
Am I awake? Am I prepared?
Are you listening to my prayer?
Can you hear my voice?
Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la,
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
ya la la la.
Page 28.
Ya la
La la la.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed.
Ya la 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 la,
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. I was a daughter first, then sister, followed by wife, and now a mother. I'm considered a leader in my community, a health care provider, a great cook and a good friend to many, but I'm a sad, empty shell of who I used to be. I build walls all around me to protect myself. I cry myself to sleep. I have panic attacks when my phone rings in the dead of night. I keep secrets and lie to your face when you ask me how I'm doing. I avoid you. Your frivolous complaints irk me. I don't have time for small talk. Your narrow minds and thoughtless comments cut deep. Your stereotypical prejudices anger me. Your perfect world is a sham. I see straight through it. You say this would never happen to your family. I said that once too. I truly live day by day because I am a mother of an addict. Ahava Rabbah, Ahavat Olam, everlasting love. We seek that love, O God. to face whatever it is that is our world, whatever is our reality. That is our world. Let there be love within it. Page 32.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו ושופטנו, ליבנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם בלילה, נגה יומם בלילה. גאוותך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
I invite you to be seated as we move into the words from Doug Cutler that then weave in the prayer of Shema, of listening. There in this, as you're seated in this place, the words before you, feel free to sing along. Feel free, though, to also just listen.
If you're lost, you feel afraid and you don't know what to say, then listen, listen to our God. Is there a question in your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen, listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all of your mind. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen, listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice if you can hear, if you listen, listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, or from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes listen to our God. Listen to our God.
As we listen to God, we also listen to our hearts, knowing how important it is to be able to feel, to love with all of our hearts, with all of our souls, with all of our minds. We turn to the next page on our daf tefillah. Ve'ahavta, love Adonai your God.
Love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart.
Teach them faithfully unto your children.
Speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. Bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be a symbol between your eyes. Write them on the doorposts of your house, and upon your gates, and upon your gates.
Teach them faithfully unto your children.
Speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise, and when you rise.
As we continue in our prayer book, page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your wisdom of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Mi Chamocha, page 40.
Ya la 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 la.
Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neta b'kodesh, nora tehilo oseh pele, nora tehilo oseh pele.
Malekut harahu vanecha, okei ayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, ze Elianu ve'amer, ze Elianu ve'amer.
searching for a shelter of peace, somewhere that we can feel comfortable, somewhere that we can find wholeness and completeness. This next reading is from a person in long-term recovery, and what he says, what she says. What that means to me is that I have not found it necessary to pick up a drink or a drug since February 10th, 2003. I was 18 at the time and given the option to be homeless and cut off from my family, who are also in long-term recovery, or go to treatment. I chose treatment. If you had asked me at 18 what type of life I would want to have when I am in my 30s, I would have sold myself short. I am over 14 years sober with more friends than I can count. My loving family is back in my life. I am able to reconnect with my Judaism in a way that I never have before, and I get to help other young people struggling with the same things that I was struggling with. I absolutely love the life that God has given me today as a result of getting out of the way and allowing Him to work in my life. We are guardians. We are guardians who seek to create that peace, create that shelter. And when we find that shelter ourselves, we want to guard it with all of our might, with all of our strength. And so, Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael, let us, the children of Israel, all people, be those guardians not just of Shabbat, but of one another. Page 44 of Vishamru.
Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם,
ברית עולם.
ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת, שבת וינפש. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם, ברית עולם.
For our Amidah this evening, our custom is always to open our ark doors and to there stand before Torah, most importantly, to stand before God. Those of you who would like to, if you are recovering, if you are seeking recovery, If you have a family member and you would like, who is in recovery or is seeking help, or you yourself are finding and needing that help as well, I invite you to bring your prayer book. Come and join us at the Ark. If we fill this whole space, let us fill this whole space. As we join together with our Amidah, we stand before the Ark, absolutely. If everybody who would like to come forward to stand before the Ark up close, if you would like to come forward, please do so. If you would rather be able to do your Amidah there from your seats, you're welcome to do that as well. And I invite everyone, come forward, come on up. Everybody come on up, fill our space. For each of you are a blessing, come on up, all the way up. Those of you who are able to, want to go all the way up, open up our Ark doors there for us, please. Marla, please, if you'll open the Ark doors right there. Somebody else? There you go, thank you. Is everyone else, if you will please rise for our Amidah, page 46.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zacher Chasei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei Bneihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechakeh Chayim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'neheman atah l'chayot ha'kol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh ha'kol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kedoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You are holy, for you, Adonai, our God, you are holy, and you make us holy.
Each of you are holy. In our morning services, we go kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. 3 times we go up onto our tiptoes. Why? Because we're seeking holiness, we're seeking connection, some connection to God, connection to the divine. Most important of all, a connection for ourselves. You are each one of you. You are holy. Our journeys are never easy through life, but may you always hold on to the holiness that is within you. Holding on to knowing that there is strength in community and that there is strength in one another and within your hearts. So we're going to take a moment to allow each of you to hold on to Torah in your hearts and in your souls, and to know that you are not alone in this journey. To let you know how grateful we are that you are a part of our lives. This Torah, it's been on its own journey. A journey of over 275, 300 years. We don't know its full story. Only you know your story. But please know, whatever it is, whatever that story is that's within your heart, it is sacred. This wonderful soul that is within you, it is a blessing. You are strong, each of you. You are powerful in who you are. Looking at the light within each of you, looking into your eyes, seeing that divine, that gift of strength. That gift of wholeness. That gift, the most precious gift of all, that gift of Shalom. Thank you. Thank you for the gifts of all of you. May this Torah, may the Torah that is in your own heart give you strength, even in those moments when you are up on those tiptoes and you feel like you're going to fall over. May you find the strength, but most important of all, please know you are never alone. You are never alone, because we have you and you have us. On this side too. We're not going to let you.
I left my walker over
It's
there.
okay. As we continue with a prayer of peace, of Shalom Rav, page 60.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha
Tasim le'olam.
Ki ata hu melech adon
Lechol hashalom.
Ki ata hu melech adon Lechol Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Nasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Nasim Le'olam. Nasim Le'olam. Nasim
We take moments to be able to offer blessings of Mishaberach, of healing of mind and body and spirit. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all of those who are ill. We turn in our daf tefillah, fix you, and Mishaberach.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need, when you feel so tired but you can't sleep, stuck in a reverse, when the tears come streaming down your face, when you lose something you can't replace, when you love someone but it goes to waste, could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
So we take a moment now, we think about all those of our family and our friends within our community, any faith, any tradition who are in need of healing. And as I face in your direction, I invite you to please call out their names, or feel free to also hold those names within. Norm Harris, Doris Bachman.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before
us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Avotenu Abraham, Yitzchak, V'Yaakov, V'imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bring blessings of compassion and healing to those who suffer from the oppression of addiction. Turn their eyes away from the seductions and cravings that crush their spirits with cruel bondage. Return them to their holy dignity and restore them to wholeness of spirit, of body, and of mind. Do not let the inclination to evil control them or lead to selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Makor harachamim, source of mercy, send our loved ones and friends the strength of spirit to recover your great reality within and the serenity to accept your will. Open their hearts to the truth of our love, and may they awaken to your presence through mitzvot and spiritual practice. May this be your will, and may it happen right now. Let us say, Amen. Let us now listen to the voice within our silent prayer.
Sometimes in the 11th hour, you find a song that seems to fit the moment. And about 10 minutes before this service, I was going through this song by Alan Goodis, who happens to be an artist in residence who's coming to join us next month. The words to the song, Essa Einai, are not in your song sheet, so I encourage you just to lift your eyes, which is what Essa Einai means, to the meaning of these lyrics, and just let them move you. It goes like this. I look up, you're not there. Not ready, I'm not prepared. I need strength to climb, to reach, yet still I find that I'm weak and I'm scared. Essa Einai el Harim, Me'ayin yavo yavo Ezri. Essa Einai el Harim, Me'ayin yavo yavo Ezri. I need rest, can't sleep, awake and still I breathe. So if I fall out of reach, don't let me be. Essa Einai el Harim, Me'ayin yavo yavo Ezri. Essa Einai el Harim, Me'ayin yavo yavo Ezri. Where is my joy when the world's turned dark? Where is my faith when I'm torn apart? Where is my strength till the pain subsides? Where is the light when I can't realize? Let rest be upon me. Let peace be within me. Let rest be upon me tonight. Essa Einai el Harim, Me'ayin yavo yavo Ezri. Essa Einai el Harim, Me'ayin yavo yavo Ezri. Essa Einai el Harim, Me'ayin yavo yavo Ezri. Essa Einai el Harim, Me'ayin yavo yavo Ezri.
This Shabbat, it is my honor to invite forward to share his story and to inspire us. A man who unleashed his own warrior and helps us find our own, Brad Wenneberg. Thank you so much for coming and sharing this Shabbat with us, but most importantly, thank you for being our teacher and inspiring us and giving us strength.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi, Cantor, and Sam. Congratulations. Have a wonderful weekend. It truly is a blessing. Now, I wrote out a speech, and I called my sponsor before I got here today, and I told him what I was going to be doing tonight, and he got pretty excited about it. And he said, "Well, how are you going to approach this?" And I said, "Well, let me read you my speech." And he said, "Well, take it out for me," and I did. And he said, "I'll rip it up." And I said, "But I don't have it memorized." He said, "Just rip it up." He says, "You speak from the heart, you speak truth, and God will guide your words." So I said, "Are bullet points okay?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." So if I get off time, just bring the hook and let me know when time's up. Time for Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of us. And tonight we're talking about Shabbat and serenity and sobriety. And it's wonderful to celebrate that. I get to celebrate my sobriety day in and day out as long as I don't take a drink or a drug today, and I've been able to do that for decades. But I do that because I work a very good program, and my program is a 12-step program from Alcoholics Anonymous. None of us are immune from addiction. It affects all of us in every walk of life. But for me to start, I need to start the way I normally do when I speak in meetings so that I'm comfortable. We have a lot of addicts up here, I know that, a lot of people recovering. So let me begin the way it makes me feel comfortable, and that is, my name is Brad, and I'm an alcoholic. As I said, alcoholism, addiction affects all of us, whether it be personal. We can look in the mirror and see addiction, whether it be a family member, a child, a husband, a wife, a granddaughter, a great-granddaughter, a grandson. It can be our father, it can be our mother, it can be our neighbor, an employee, an employer, a friend, it can be the mailman. The fact of the matter is our prisons are filled with addicts. Our ERs are filled with addicts. Our asylums are filled with addicts. So we're dealing with it on a daily basis. And you know what? Addiction's been around since man crushed grapes. The moment somebody took a drink and said, wow, it took me from where I was to where I am now, there has been addicts. And it's not assigned to any one group. I mean, there was a long time when I said, you know what, I'm part of the Jewish community. I don't know of any Jews that are in recovery. I have no idea that there are any Jews that are alcoholics or drug addicts. And for a long time, I used that kind of my excuse or my way of saying, I can't be, my denial mechanism. So it affects all of us. It's not economics. It's not about how much money I made. It's not about me coming from a poor background, which I did. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether we're rich or famous. It doesn't matter whether I'm Jewish or Christian. I have seen people that have been affected by addiction personally at 8 and 9 years old. And I've seen people come into Alcoholics Anonymous as old as 85 and 90 and got sober just before they passed away. There is no boundaries for addiction. So I hope tonight what I'm going to try to do is share some of my story, and I hope you'll listen for the similarities and not for the differences. See, for a long time I'd come into meetings and I'd say, well, I didn't do that. I didn't go to jail. I didn't lose my wife. I never slipped and slid in my slippers, down the street. I never slept under a box. And I didn't listen for the similarities. And the similarities are what comes from the heart. It's what happens to me when I drink, when I actually open up and I started to listen to what people were sharing with me, and not telling me what to do, but sharing their stories from their heart. I started to identify. And it was one of those aha moments when I went, yeah, you know what? I felt that. Wow, if he feels it, then maybe I should listen up a little bit more. And the more I listened, the more I started to realize that I wasn't alone. And this is a very lonely disease. If you're anything like me and you're out there and you are an addict, you understand that isolation is a big part of alcoholism. Because I ended up drinking with my own worst enemy, and that was me. My sponsor once told me, you'll end up drinking with people that are of bad character. And I said, well, I never did. And he said, well, did you drink with yourself? And I said, yeah. And he said, can't get any lower than that. So sponsors are really great because they always tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So the solution for me and the solution for hundreds of thousands of people have been the 12 steps. The 12 steps, whether they're recognized in Alcoholics Anonymous or Overeaters Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, the 12 steps are not about Christianity, they're not about Judaism, they're not about Buddhism. It's endorsed by clergy around the world to be a way to live a blessed life, to follow the commandments, and to do this sober. Now, to me, that was uncharted territory, because being in sobriety was not my nature. My nature was to have something in my system to change my reality. When people ask me what's the definition of an alcoholic or an addict, and there's many different definitions, but I have a couple definitions. Number one would be, and I really like this when I heard it, is when you stop bragging about your drinking and you start lying about your drinking. That worked for me. Another was I drank to change my reality. A normal drinker maybe has a tough day. They come home, they had traffic, maybe tough time at work. and they have a drink before dinner, and they have a glass of wine at dinner, and maybe a drink after, and they unwind. They take the edge off. That's not why I drank. I didn't drink because I liked the way it tasted. I liked where it got me. And I like to describe it not as what alcohol did to me, but what alcohol did for me. So when I'm going to give you a bit of my story, and if I offend anybody, I'm sorry. I'm just going to tell the truth. That's the only way I can do it. I may be a little more descriptive than Rabbi wants me to be, but I will be cautious. My first drink, my first alcoholic drink, 16 years old. Now, I have to preface this by saying that my mom had told me since I can remember that my father was an abusive, brutal alcoholic. I never got to meet him, but apparently he was so abusive and so raging that one night he set the house on fire, the apartment on fire with them in it, in a drunken rage. And I heard this story over and over again as my mom told me if I ever take a drink, it will be death to you. It would be like taking poison. Now, as a child, I had no clue what she was saying. It just didn't make sense. All I knew is I had a father that she was ashamed of, a father that she told nothing but stories, how angry, and you get the message. So at 16, my mom and parents moved us up to a place called Pleasant Hill, California, a very small town. And one night after running in a track meet, I called my older brother and asked if he could buy us some booze. And he met me at the bowling alley, and he brought up a bottle of Southern Comfort. Anybody like Southern Comfort? Haven't drank it since. So we filled up our little Dixie cups with Southern Comfort, and we all took a swig. And it was probably the most horrible tasting stuff I've ever had in my life. It was like downing cough syrup. It burned every ounce all the way down my body. And we all kind of gagged and said, "What?" And I can tell you this, within 3 to 5 minutes, I thought, man, this is so good. Why doesn't everybody do this? They said within 5 minutes I had gone into the bathroom at the bowling alley, had locked the door, and I was in there with the bottle. Now, this is a 16-year-old boy. And I can tell you that all of a sudden I got taller. All of a sudden I got smarter. I got quicker. I no longer had pimples, and I was a chick magnet. It did exactly what I could not do for myself. It took me to where I wanted to be because I couldn't accept who I was. You know, I just never fit in. I don't know if you've ever felt that. I just never fit in. Even when maybe I was doing really well in school, I still didn't feel like I fit in. When I met the guys on the playground, I didn't feel like I fit in. I felt like I had to do double time just to be accepted. And when I took that drink, it did something for me that nothing had ever done for me. It took me to a place that changed my reality. And for me, I said, why wouldn't everybody do this? This is amazing. This is the elixir of life. And they said, the story goes like this. I came out of that bathroom, and I started to make a fool of myself. I don't remember any of this. And then the story goes on that they walked me to my house, opened up the screen door, and they threw me in the front door. As I projectile vomited all over the floor, I crawled into the bed with my younger sister and continued to vomit. They finally, they say, got me to my bed. Now, I woke up the next day about 3 p.m, and I remember that feeling of shame. My mom was sitting there, and I remember that guilt, and I also remember the headache and the pain in my stomach and how violent I felt. I really couldn't put 2 plus 2 together. But I remember my mom looking me in the eyes and saying, "You look just like your dad." I never wanted to hurt my mom. I never wanted to cause pain in my family. 16 years old, I made this promise to her, and I meant it. And I made this promise 1,000 times for the next 10 to 12 years. I'll never do that again. I have learned my lesson. I never want to feel this pain and this remorse and this shame ever again in my life. Mom, I promise you, I'll never do this again. And I meant it. And had you said, let's take a bet on it, I would have bet everything I was that I would never do that again. At 6 o'clock that evening, I told my mom and dad that I needed some fresh air. I didn't feel well. I walked out that door, walked down to the liquor store, and coaxed someone into buying me some beer, and I got drunk. This is a 16-year-old boy that had never drank before, and I ratcheted into alcoholism with my very first drink. Now, that does not say that describes your alcoholism. I'm only saying listen for the similarities of the way I felt and what it did for me, not what it did to me. Some people drink normally for 10, 15 years. Some people drink what we would say hard drinkers or alcoholically during their college years and then go into the real world and they're just fine. And then someday, maybe they ratchet into the realm of alcoholism, and guess what? There's no coming back from that. Alcoholism is not, being an alcoholic is not me being a bad person trying to get good. It's a sick person trying to get well. And once I understood that this is a disease, they define it as, the medical industry defines it as a twofold disease. It's a bodily allergy coupled with an obsession of the mind. And when those two are placed together, then you get me. You get me, somebody that rages, that has no clue what to do, but he thinks he can do anything. It changed my reality. So that 16-year-old boy made that promise, and within 4 hours was back doing it again. And I continued to thrive. I was very functional. Bonnie and I married at 18 and 19 years old. I call my drinking the good, bad, and the ugly years. So the good years, those first few years where I was still drinking relatively alcoholically, but I was maintaining. We would go to parties and functions. I was a police officer with the city of Anaheim, and Bonnie had a career in the dental field. We were actively involved in Temple Beth Met at the time, so we were very involved. We had a home, 2 cars in the garage, we had insurance, money in the bank, we were traveling, and we had our eyes set for a family. And if you were to take the lid off of our home, you would see an addiction, a dysfunctional addict in process. Managing it, the good years. Then all of a sudden it started to shift, and it went from the good years to the bad years. And those bad years were the years that all of a sudden I'm raging, and she doesn't know who is coming home. She doesn't know if it's Brad or Brad is coming home. They say they don't know who's sicker, the alcoholic or the spouse that stays with the alcoholic. It's a very good question. So I have to thank my wife for sticking with me through those years. I'm not sure I would have done the same thing had she been doing what I did to her. And that's just to be honest. When I come home and I hear my wife say, Brad, have you been drinking today? And I see that look of fear in her eye, and she runs into the bedroom, and I bust the door down because I'm in a drunken rage. I never abused her physically, but does it matter? Emotional abuse is just as damaging, if not worse. It changed my reality. It made me into something that I never wanted to do. You see, it allowed me to do the things that I promised I would never do. And then I would wake up the next day and I would ask that proverbial question, what did I do last night? And then I would get those eyes that look at me and say, don't you remember what you did last night? Or the one time she said, why don't you call your mother-in-law and find out what you did with her or to her? Those feelings of shame, of anguish, of pain, of pure powerlessness. I lied. I covered up. I lied about the lie that I lied about the lie and tried to figure out which lie matched the other lie. I tried to keep this all together, hiding and driving while intoxicated, getting in accidents while intoxicated, rolling my car down an embankment, hitting someone at 90 miles an hour on the freeway on the 91, ending up getting arrested for a felony drunk driving. This is not easy stuff. This is pain. And we fought. We didn't understand. Nobody really said at that time, Brad, you even have a drinking problem. One day I went into my therapist, who happens to be a member of this synagogue. I will not name his name, but he saved my life. He had been seeing me for about a year, and I wrote out a check at the end of the session. He ripped it up in front of me, and I said, why would you do that? He said, Brad, I cannot help you. You're nothing more than an alcoholic. You're a drunk, and you need to go to a meeting. And that night I went to 202 West Broadway, and I've been going to meetings ever since. I'd like to say I got sober that night. I didn't, but I did show up. And I walked into that meeting, and I heard people laughing and smiling and hugging on each other for the reason of laughing and hugging and loving on each other. There was no condition to it. I wanted what they had, but I was deathly afraid of it. I did not know how to intimately be involved with people without conditions. I did not understand what it meant to be a friend or a father or a husband. I had no clue. They kept saying to me, keep coming back. And I tried to keep this separate from my regular life. You know what, if I can manage my alcoholism over here, then I can live my life the way I want to over here. And that never worked out well. I had moments of sobriety, but I'm going to tell you, every time it circled around, it came back to me being an alcoholic. And I was absolutely, totally, 100% powerless over stopping. Bonnie started going to Al-Anon, and thank you for that program. There are a lot of alcoholics who go, oh no, my wife went to Al-Anon. I say, praise the Lord, she went to Al-Anon because it saved our marriage and it saved her life. So why did I get sober? I like to say that circumstances never got me sober, and I've never seen anybody in Alcoholics Anonymous that is sober today that a circumstance got them sober. And what I mean by that is the accident I got into, the car was repairable, and once I went to a few meetings and the heat was off, I would back running, do it again. So the circumstances of the accidents and all those things never got me sober. It was the day I looked in the mirror and I could not stand the person I saw in front of me. It was that incomprehensible demoralization that one more time I put my wife and my family in pain and jeopardy. One more time I've gotten in my car and driven with an alcohol or pills in my system. One more time I made that promise, just like that 16-year-old boy that said, Mom, I'll never do it again. I did it again. And until I got to that point, to when I honestly, in my heart, knew that I was hopelessly and helplessly an addict, until that moment, I could not be helped. Then I started to listen to AA at a different level. And the 12 steps helped me to repair, tikkun olam, to turn things around, to make amends, to do God's will rather than my will. And I can't work the 12 steps in just a few of my aspects of my life. I have to work it in all of my affairs. And I do that on a daily basis. It's fun to be sober. I get to remember what happens tomorrow. Do you realize how, I've looked at albums of places that we've gone and said, whoa, we must have had fun, because I don't remember it. Thank God she took pictures. Have you ever been to Hawaii? Yeah, I think so. Look at the pictures. She was there. Today I get to enjoy my granddaughter, my family. They even asked me to watch my granddaughter from time to time and not have to watch over me. Circumstances never got me sober. What kept me away? All the denial. I've got a lot of money. I've got a good job, a good career. I'm Jewish. I can't be alcoholic, and heaven forbid I go to Alcoholics Anonymous, which is a Christian-based organization, and boy, I couldn't admit that to another Jew. And what I found out long after that, going to Israel and talking to a very wise man there who told me, and this man, I think he was in his 90s, said Alcoholics Anonymous is for everybody and anybody that has a problem with addiction. And how dare I question that? And when I came back, I opened my heart just a little bit more. Bonnie and I reached out 20 years ago and started a program here at Temple Beth Sholom that was called Jews in Recovery. Some of us remember that. And we were going for about 2 or 3 years. And we've been trying to get the word out, take our heads out of the sand and say, you know what, guys? We need to open our eyes as a community. We have our kids that are dying from this disease. We have families that are dying from this disease. We have employees that are dying from this. It may be you. If something I've said tonight sounds familiar, if something I said tonight sounds similar, then ask more questions. Seek help. Again, it's not a bad person trying to get better. It's a sick person trying to get well. There is a solution. And for me, the solution, and for all of us, has been finding a power greater than myself. To not do my will, do his will. And I try to do that every day. And usually his will is totally opposite of what I think I should be doing. Always. My sponsor tells me, what do you think's a good idea? And I say this, and he said, do the other thing. So I am well connected in the 12 steps and well connected with talking with other alcoholics. This was not easy for me to do tonight, because it's easy for me to stand up, which I'll be doing tomorrow night in Wilshire, talking with a group of alcoholics, to talk with my friends, people I've grown up with. I've been in this temple, as my family has, for 34, 35 years. I've never been able to stand up here and be blessed to share my story openly, and thank you, Rabbi. We've talked about this for some time now. To come up here and open my heart and know that, if you decide to judge me differently, then that's your problem, not mine. All I've done is been honest. It's not easy, but you know what? It's worth it. It is worth it. Please, let's stop dying of this disease. Let's stop hiding in the shadows. Let's open up our hearts and our minds that this is a Jewish problem, this is a Christian problem, this is a world problem that we need to deal with. I can't fix everybody, and neither can you, but we can start with one. We can start with one Shabbat service, and a second one, and a third one, and a meeting, and a second meeting, and a third meeting. And when we get the word out, we take the shame away from it and realize this is a disease and there is a solution, then we will find hope. Hope keeps me alive today. If I wasn't with you tonight, I would be in a meeting somewhere else. I go to 2 to 3 meetings a week at least, and a couples meeting with my wife once a month. And I do this not because I think I'm going to drink tonight, but maybe I will tomorrow. I take care of today. It's a very small sacrifice to me to make, to be able to live a life of serenity and peace. You see, I always wanted to fit in. That 16-year-old boy wanted to feel taller, wanted to feel everything but what he was. I'm 5'6". I'm 64 years old. I'm what I am, I'm who I am, and I'm proud to be that today. And I get to do this sober, not on my own calling. It's God's will, not mine. It's a lot of work. My phone number is 714-343-0183. Call me 24/7. I'm here. And I know if I called any one of you, you'd be there for me too. If we work at this together and we ask for God's help and guidance, we can get sober. And there'll be many, many more celebrations of sobriety and Shabbats where we can come in here and be serene, and we can carry this message to our families and to our kids. And if you're a parent of somebody that has a problem, there is a solution. If you are a husband or a wife, there is a solution. I am living proof that if I can stay sober, you can too. I hope I've said something that gives some hope. And thank you for being here tonight. And with that, I'll say Shabbat Shalom and Amen.
At this time, I'd like to just briefly introduce and have him come up and just say a couple of words. Marla Kaufman and Cindy Anderson, who Marla Kaufman came and met with me when our office was in a trailer, so from after our fire here. And Marla is the founder of Jewish Awareness Addiction Network here in Orange County, and Cindy Anderson is the Director of Clinical Services at Jewish Federation and Family Services. And so thank you both very, very much. Come on up. Here we go. Don't be shy. Come on up. Thank you very much for bringing Serenity Shabbat to us.
I'm going to be very brief because I know it's getting late. First of all, Brad, awesome. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you, Temple Beth Sholom, for welcoming us here today. I am the founder of Jewish Addiction Awareness Network, and this is Cindy Anderson from JFFS, Jewish Federation Family Services, and we work together. And I'm going to tell my story in like a minute or less, and really focus on what we're doing in this county to address alcoholism and addiction. And we started about 2 years ago. So in 2006, to our shock, we found out we have 2 sons, they're 27 and 24, that our older son had very quickly fallen into alcoholism and drug addiction at his high school. And we found out when he came off of a trip from Israel, a Talit trip from this very community in the Bureau of Jewish Education. Didn't look well, didn't know what was going on, but he kind of hit it a lot. I mean, his grades were good. He was still doing chores. He was still a good big brother, but then it all unraveled and fell apart, and we unraveled and fell apart. And I want to tell you that, like Brad, very, very involved in our Jewish community, belonged to 2 synagogues in this community, was on a rabbi search committee, was on the board, is social action, We were real synagogue goers. Our kids went to a liberal Jewish day school, K through 6. They were bar mitzvahed. We went to Israel. I mean, we were that family that, I think rabbis like to have in their synagogues. But when this happened, when the disease of addiction came into our family, I have to say now, this was 11 years ago, so it wasn't on the front page of every paper at that time what was going on. And we felt very alone, especially alone as a Jewish family in this community. And we really weren't treated like we were before. We had to send our son away to a wilderness program and a therapeutic boarding school. So it was out in the open what happened, and people didn't know how to handle it. We didn't know how to handle it. Our rabbi was supportive and he understood addiction, but we just got very disaffected from the Jewish community and just felt very isolated. As Brad said, it's a very isolating disease, not only for the person who's suffering, but for their family member. And so we became unaffiliated for 4 years, which was unheard of. I myself have never been unaffiliated since I was 19. And very disaffected from Judaism. And in March of 2015, I read a book by Rabbi Paul Steinberg called Recovery, the 12 Steps in Jewish Spirituality. And there were 3 quotes in the book. I won't read all 3 of them. I'll just read one of them. But that book changed my life. There was a before and after I found out that Josh had fallen into addiction. And there was a before and after when I read this book 8 years later. And he's a recovering alcoholic addict and just a brilliant rabbi. And he said in the book, "What I know for myself now is that I will not contribute to Jewish ignorance about my disease." Okay, I lied. I'm going to read a second quote. The other one is, "My Judaism is not separate from my addiction and recovery, but integrated into it." And when I read those words, I knew that I was no longer going to walk in any shame at all. And I was going to do something about this problem, particularly in the Jewish community where I think we live with the myth that our people are not affected as much as others. There are 23 million people 12 and over in active addiction or alcoholism in our country today. The good news is there are about that many people in long-term recovery. This is a treatable disease. People do not have to die from this disease. We did lose in this country 64,000 people in 2016 alone to alcoholism, opioid overdose, and other drug deaths. And just to put that in perspective, the entire Vietnam War, which was over 10 years, we lost 58,000 soldiers. So we lost more people to addiction in 1 year than we lost in 10 years of the Vietnam War. So we need to work on this issue. So after reading that book, I started a book club. In fact, I only went to 3 rabbis, and your rabbi, Rabbi Cohn, was one of them, and said, I have this idea. I want to have people, Jews in my living room that are in recovery or their family members, and study Rabbi Paul Steinberg's book because it really changed my life, integrated my Judaism with my recovery program, and I'm also a very grateful member of Al-Anon, of that program. So I got a group of people together. I called Jewish Family Service, and they were on board and said, hey, we kind of want to do something about this problem. So we have a task force of about 15 to 17 members representing about 12 congregations. We meet quarterly. This is one of our programs, Serenity Shabbat services. This is the last one of the year. This is the 4th one. We are full for next year. We have the schedule. It's at 4 completely different congregations. I invite you. The schedule will be around to come to all of them. And I want to say that we received 2 grants from the Jewish Community Foundation. One was to do a clergy addiction workshop, which we did in November of 2016, and I actually brought that workshop to Jewish Family Service in Houston and trained their clergy, so we really developed something here in Orange County. I'm very, very proud of our community. And also now we got another grant from the Jewish Community Foundation. We'll be coming back to your congregation to present you with a book of a set of 10 books on addiction recovery for every synagogue library in Orange County. So I invite you to contact us, join us. My national organization is here. I'm building a comprehensive website dedicated to addiction recovery from a Jewish lens. I can tell you more about that if you want to talk to me at the ONEG. All I can say is that I'm grateful. Thank you very much, Rabbi Cohn and Cantor Reinwald and this entire congregation. I went from slinking out of my synagogue to standing up here, and I counted, yes, I counted, with 30 other people who were brave enough to stand up here and say, I'm in recovery, or I love someone who's in recovery. And I just cannot tell you how moving that was to be out in the open. And I just think I just think we have to keep going, and we need to partner with each other in this community to keep going on this issue. And one other thing is that we do have two 12-step meetings in Jewish locations. I didn't know about this thing 20 years ago. Of course, I wasn't in this deal 20 years ago. But we now have an Al-Anon meeting at Temple Bethel. It's been over 2 years, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. in Aliso Viejo. We get 12 to 16 people regularly. It's a really ongoing meeting, fill all of our positions. And one of our task force members here who belongs to another congregation, B'nai Tzedek, started an AA meeting on Thursdays at B'nai Tzedek at 6 p.m. So if you're in the program, and both of those are open meetings. So even if you're not, you just want to kind of see what the 12-step program is about, please come. We have some task force members here tonight, and I just want to thank them for their devotion and for their hard work. And I want to introduce Cindy Anderson, and she's going to tell you a little bit about this program that's coming up that's related. Thank you very much.
So I will be very brief. I think everybody got a flyer for Freedom Song on their way in. We're hoping that we see many of you there. It is at the JCC Theater. There is no charge. We're going to have some great refreshment and yummy food afterwards. So if you're free on December 3rd, please come 2 o'clock, and we'd love to see you there.
Yeah, Judy, there are flyers also still in the back as well, definitely. So thank you so very, very much, Cindy and Marla. Marla, thank you for coming and visiting me in the trailer to be able to bring this wonderful program to us. Jack, thank you very much for going, or no, you're going to come up real quickly. Cool, yeah, I wasn't sure what to do, cool. To come and to bring us some greetings and say thank you and tell us a couple of things that are going on. Shabbat Shalom, Jack.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Cantor, for such a beautiful and meaningful service. And a special thank you to Brad for sharing with us tonight. You're correct. Addiction will affect each and every one of us at some point in our life, and it's so important that we talk about it. Just have to talk, have that conversation. I was going to say Mazel Tov to Sam, but apparently
He needed to go to sleep, which is okay. Yeah, his
Poor
eyes,
Sam.
he was falling asleep, so it's okay.
On Sunday, please join Rabbi Cohen and Cantor Reinwald for a special interfaith Thanksgiving service at the Anaheim United Methodist Church on State College in Anaheim. It's about a quarter mile north of Ball Road. On November 23rd and 24th, the TBS offices are going to be closed, so if you need to conduct any business, do it before then.
However, we will have Shabbat services, though, on next Friday night, the 24th.
We will have Shabbat services that Friday.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, I
Some
just
people
wanna
got that. Okay, we recently replaced 5 AC and heating units in our school building. I just wanted to let you know that we made that expenditure, and it's going to keep our kids and staff warm through this winter, so it's a really nice thing. On December 15th, we will celebrate Hanukkah with a special dinner and Shabbat at Congregation B'nai Tzedek. And then the next night, on the 16th, we're going to celebrate Chanukah.
Chanukah.
Hanukkah.
Gotta get the there you go.
Anybody have any dairy? That's going to be here, and there's going to be a party and a concert featuring Alan Goodis, and we heard a song tonight, if I believe, from him. It sounded really beautiful. See the website for the it's been late, long day. See the website for the details on how to sign up for that. Thank you. I'm also pleased to announce that our new executive director, Ruth Irving, is going to start on January the 3rd, and I have a save the date as we welcome her and celebrate our interim ED, Esther Hurst, at the January 12th Shabbat service. Please join us in showing our support and gratitude to both of these fantastic women. We have a new program coming on January 21st and 22nd, led by Rabbi and Todd Littman, exploring the intersection of legal, spiritual, and faith issues regarding end-of-life care. Also, please remember to donate.
No, we went ahead and already. I want to
You
just
86
announce.
that?
Yeah, I actually want to just announce with our tzedakah box, because you don't have the number on here really quick. Thank you to everybody who contributed to the tzedakah box. I took over today to Mary's Kitchen. over $150 worth of grocery cards that will be used to help serve the homeless during this Thanksgiving festival. So thank you very, very much for those of you who contributed. If you want to continue to contribute to the tzedakah box, we will continue also to give to the homeless and to those in need in the community. So I just wanted to let you know about that.
Thank you for that additional fact.
You're welcome.
Please donate jackets and warm clothing to our Adopt a Social Worker program as it's getting colder outside and getting dark earlier. And lend a hand to mitzvah meals if you're available. Your caring gifts at this time of year are especially meaningful to people who need that kind of help. Thank you very much. There are additional things in our flyer for you to look at. And Sarah, are you going to open the shop tonight?
There you
Well, I have
go.
to ask. I have to ask. All right. Thank you. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Perfect. Shabbat shalom. Thank you. We turn now to page 282. We rise for Aleinu L'Shabeach.
עלינו לשבח לדון הכל, לתת גדולה יוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts now turn to those who are no longer here with us, yet truly their memories are all a blessing. We remember those who've recently departed from our lives, our community, our friends, our family. Marilyn Halevi, Marjorie Kahn Golub, and Ruby Goldberg. We remember also those whose yahrzeits we recall on this Shabbat and during this coming week. Larry Achterman, Michael Bell, Matilda Berman, Charles Darwin Bryant, Arthur Cohen, Milton Cohen, Ann Felt, Gertrude Feingold, Arthur Friedman, Dorothy Gary, Paul Pinchas Gotti, Alexander Gershfeld, Barbara Glaske, Sarah Schaefer Gruman, Paul Grunwald, Sophia Heiligman, Isidore E. Horwitz, Melvin Karen, Robert Karen, Harry Klassel, Evelyn Lasik, Ruben G. Musi Kantau, Dorothy Newman, Sarah Rice, Joel Russakoff, Abraham Schindler, Harold Sherman, Alvin Sugarman, Alan Silverstein, Eunice Silverstein, Ann Thal, and Eleanor Weintraub. If there is anyone here who's in the period of mourning of Shiva, Shloshim, or Shana, or is observing a yahrzeit of a loved one whose name I have not called, I invite you as I face in your direction to please share their names with us. For all of them and for all those who have given their lives al Kiddush Hashem for the sanctification of God's holy name, and for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, we join together page 294, Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish. Yit Kadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divrach yurtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Bagala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'elam elomei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei d'kudesha b'richu, le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram bi'alma v'imru, Amen.
Yehi Shalom Araba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Osei Shalom B'mromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Let us say together, Amen. Adam, on behalf of your friend who went to sleep, but you are still here. You ready, kiddo? Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, b'tei avon. Go for it, kiddo. There you go. Well, perfect. And Papa, while you are here, our blessings come not only from our hands, but also from God on high. I will throw it to you, but I'm going to go like that. There you go. Mazel tov. We turn to our closing song, which you can find on your daf tefillah, called In This House. May this house truly be a house for all and for everyone to find comfort, to find love, to find peace, to find wholeness. Please join with us, joining with In This House.
In this house, in this house, it all comes together in this house. In this house, in this house, it all comes together in this house of God. In this house beats the heart of a family. In this house is the center of community. We study and we pray, find meaning in each day. In this house, in this house, in this house. In this house, in this house, it all comes together in this house. In this house, in this house, it all comes together in this house of God. In this house is a spark of God's creation. In this house there is joy and celebration. By song or by word, your prayers will be heard. In this house, in this house, in this house. In this house, in this house, it all comes together in this house. In this house, in this house, it all comes together in this house of God. In this house we can shelter, we can clothe and feed. In this house there is always help for those in need. A stranger makes a friend, becomes inspired again. In this house, in this house, in this house. In this house, in this house, it all comes together in this house. In this house, in this house, it all comes together in this house of God.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
May you have a good and healthy Shabbat and week ahead. And challah, please, challah.